welcome to our panel. It's a panel on the success stories of platform companies in Macedonia. And I am really privileged to introduce Katerina Trajčevska, who's the CEO of Adeva, and then Vesna Kuzmanović, who's the CEO of Stratum, and then Steve Anevski, who's the founder and CEO of Upshift, and Nino Karas, who's the CEO and co-founder of Codewell. What is really interesting and actually very thrilling for me is that all of these are high-tech companies. And this is truly in the spirit of Industry 4.0, which now is taking over the industry, and people realize the potential of digitization, whether that's in healthcare, in industry production, and any aspect of our society and business, including services. So as I will ask my co-panelists to introduce their companies, I want you to keep in mind that we've gone in the area of IT from systems of record, which were all of the IT systems of the previous decades, and we've gone even through systems of engagement, which is more recent, and now with AI, we are going into systems of insight. And we have here a true AI company on the panel, and I will ask my co-panelists to talk about that. Before I ask my panelists to introduce themselves, I'll say a few words about myself. I'm from Macedonia, and I've been a teacher, and I have some of my kids here in the audience. I can say they were my kids. I taught in Rade Jovčevski Korčagin, which was the first high school of computer science and math. Truly wonderful kids, very strong, driven, and many of them are very successful in business today. Then an instructor at the mechanical engineering faculty, Ahmet Phillips, now 25 years, and a little known fact that I did entrepreneurship inside a big company. I started a completely new business in genomics for Philips. So I somehow feel some of the challenges that someone needs to go through in order to bring a new business. So with this mindset and having gone through some other experiences, I'll lead you through the questions. So first of all, let me ask my dear panelists to introduce themselves, tell us something about themselves, and also tell us something about the vision that they had for their company and about the success story of the company. So please, Katerina, can you start?
Yeah. First of all, I want to say that it's a great pleasure to be here today. My name is Katerina. I'm the CEO of Adeva. We are an exclusive network of developers who work remotely, and we are in the staffing industry, basically supporting companies when they need to build products faster or reach new milestones by deploying engineers to their teams as distributed team members. When we started, it was 5 years ago, we were thinking about the way we were looking for jobs for ourselves after graduating, and at that time it was hard to find something that it would feel interesting to you. It was mostly older projects or outdated technologies that we had here in Macedonia, and we wanted to do something different. And that's when we started to looking for opportunities abroad and trying to do some freelance work to start working on some more interesting projects. And it basically formulated our vision kind of organically, because at one point we wanted to do the same for all developers here in Macedonia and for other developers abroad, just because we think that everyone should have equal opportunities to develop their careers and to work on something really exciting for them. So we started in Skopje in a small office, 5 people. We are now in 20 different countries working fully remotely, and we're really proud to say that not only in Macedonia but in many emerging countries in the world we are trying to bring this, to make this thing a reality and to bring more interesting work to people there.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you.
Catherine.
To all of the guests. My name is Vesna Kuzmanovic. I was introduced. I'm CEO of Stratum RIT Impala. This is spin-off of Stratum R&D, the consultancy company for market research and innovation management. So with the platform Impala, it's artificial intelligence-based platform for market research. That means that we use this platform for testing every kind of stimuli in communication, marketing, and strategic management in terms of uploading the stimuli, and then we use not as previously popular methods for market research when we use words from the respondents to explain their likability, for example, for the stimulus, or do they think that this is effective communication, etc., etc. We use implicit metrics. That means that we developed algorithms through the camera of laptop, which is posted in front of the respondents, and we actually track the movement of eye of the respondents, and we recognize emotions through the face. So this is something which is really new in the area of marketing. Marketing is called neuromarketing, but this is really exciting project because our platform is first do-it-yourself platform on global level, and it's. I think that with all of the investors which we discussed, they said that. Actually, they see not great potential, but huge global potential. And we see actually the whole team which is involved in the project of Impala, we see ourselves as the next SurveyMonkey, but in something which is really better and much more exact in terms of prediction in communication. So we worked on this platform 3 years. I think that it's the great opportunity for us, cooperation with the Macedonian Academy for Science and Arts. Even the leading member in our team is academic Ljubcho Kocarev, who is most cited ICT experts from Macedonia worldwide. And I'm really thankful for the opportunity to cooperate with that great minds from Macedonia, and especially to involve young people who have aspiration to do something from here, to not be only users of technology, but creators of technology. So the vision is that we will be, I think, maybe not first, but we will be one of the unicorns from Macedonia in the next year.
Wonderful, thank you.
My name is Steven Eske. I'm the CEO, co-founder of Upshift. And what Upshift is a mobile-based marketplace for hourly shifts in the hospitality industrial sector. So it's basically a staffing marketplace, and the unique component of our business is we're US-based, but our development office is here in Skopje, Republic of Macedonia. And really what we're doing is revolutionizing the $300 billion a year temporary staffing industry through the use of technology that's bringing transparency and accountability to a sector that historically hasn't had it. And you know, it's exciting to be part of a large industry as we're disrupting, and it couldn't be done without cooperation on both sides of the pond here. And really, ultimately, our vision is to revolutionize an industry that really hasn't changed in the last 60 years, and really globally. You have very large players that are doing the same thing for the past 60 years, and it's ripe for disruption, and we're doing it. And currently, we're in 16 cities throughout the United States, and soon to be 30. So it's a little bit about Upshift.
Thank you.
All right. First, thank you for having me today here. CodeWall is an award-winning IT company that provides enterprises with product development services. We were founded back in 2011, and from that point on, we've created more than 100 products for amazing brands like Sony Music Entertainment, T-Mobile, A1 Telecom Austria, and many other. And the projects that we've built were featured on some of the best media in the world, like Forbes, the Huffington Post, TechCrunch, VentureBeat, and other. As a company, we specialize in the field of artificial intelligence and deep learning with a focus on chatbots and mobile apps. Our team consists of 25 brilliant employees here in the office in Skopje, Macedonia, but also amazing people, 4 amazing people in the office in Oslo, in Norway. The vision of CodeWell is to create a world-known product from here, from Macedonia. And having that said, we are recognized as a company behind a couple of significant Macedonian startup companies. The latest one being Let's, which was the first company in Macedonia to ever raise venture capital funding, but also the first EU startup that ever won the prestigious Product Hunt Product of the Year award in Silicon Valley, competing against companies like Google, Slack, Duolingo, etc. As of this very moment, we are working on 3 completely different projects. One of them, the first of them is called Dana. So Dana is a product that is disrupting the HR space using artificial intelligence and how big enterprises are doing performance reviews. The second product is called ReadSpace, with which we provide an ebook ecosystem as a service in the countries and regions where Amazon Kindle is not present. And the third one, our flagship product, is called CodeWell AI, which is an advanced technology platform for creation of smart digital representatives in the form of chatbots that can speak any world language with a very high precision and become experts in any given field or industry.
Thank you. That HR product sounds very interesting, especially I'm not sure I want to be judged by AI, but maybe AI will be less biased. Let's talk about what did your friends, family, colleagues think in the beginning? What did they think about your idea? Did they think it will work? And what do they think now? Katerina, can you tell us?
Yeah. So back when we were starting, it was kind of, we were still young. We didn't have enough experience in the field. Both of us, actually, my co-founder and I, we were working in local companies, but only for like 6 months. So it was kind of unnatural to decide to leave a job at that point and start something on your own. And we didn't have that much support from family and friends, basically because they were concerned that it wouldn't work and that at the end we would end up alone at home, no money, no job. So it was kind of hard to work in. Luckily, we were both out of home, living in Skopje, so we didn't have that much contact with parents. That helped. But still, over time, they understand that what you do, you like it and you're good at it, and over time, they're much more supportive and helpful. Mm-hmm. So that changed a lot in the years.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And Nino, how was it on your side?
Well, we started off as 2 tech students, with 2 laptops, no business experience, no initial investments, and a sheer vision to create a world-known product. The classic Silicon Valley entrepreneurial story, except that it isn't happening in the Bay Area yet in a very difficult market that is the Republic of North Macedonia. When we started back in 2011, I was 21 years old, and to start a company at the time, being 21, was a bold move. It was a bold move because there was no startup ecosystem formed in the country, so it made the whole journey really difficult on so many levels. And although Actually, mine and my co-founders' parents, or both of our parents, were really supportive and really believed in us. We really had to tackle, I would say, a nationwide skepticism and change the public belief one success at a time. When we were starting, people were being protective and saying, a lot of different stuff. So they said things like, you can't run a business and study in parallel. You're too young to start a company. And things like, you will never build a product that will be acquired by a big enterprise. International accelerators would never accept and be interested in a Macedonian startup company, nor any investors will invest in a Macedonian startup company. But we said that they are wrong, and we actually proved it. So our first product was acquired by T-Mobile, and we were one of the first companies in our country that had the startup to be acquired by an enterprise like T-Mobile. In 2014, we've built a startup called Marco, which was the first Macedonian company that was accelerated by an top international accelerator, Rockstart Accelerator in Amsterdam. In 2016, we were the first company that ever raised venture capital with our startup Let's, and went really far with the startup. And quite recently, actually, this year, we were named Entrepreneurs of the Year in North Macedonia by the European Business Awards, which is a great recognition and huge recognition for us and our team, but also the entire ecosystem, startup ecosystem from which we come from. So nowadays, we are sharing our story and mentoring younger entrepreneurs, and our story serves as a motivation for younger people. Because we've proven that you can start a company here and be successful as a young entrepreneur in North Macedonia.
So that's a great story, and it's quite defiant that you have proven all your naysayers wrong, especially about the international aspect.
You have to be persistent, so I would say, yes, that's the key thing.
Great. That leads me to the next question, which is really when you start a company, you have an idea, but now that you are breaking through and you have success, how do you think your company can help the ecosystem in Macedonia and the economic growth of the country? So this question, Katerina, Vesna, if you'd like to address.
Yeah, thank you. So I think that Impala is a great example of how ecosystem should be built, especially here in Macedonia, because Impala is product with synergy between business and academia. So that means that business idea was mine, but when I presented to the Professor Kotsarev, I just needed approval that we can go with that. We started to work really on a level which is maybe not understandable for Macedonia, because you have such a great mind in the team, and you have young people from my company who are researchers. They are actually youngsters from the academia after finishing the school. And we have a lot of young people from technological university who are involved in research, but in ICT, not ICT, programming, software development, but in research. And it was such a great energy and synergy that actually no one from the team member in any case used the word I or me. Always when we discussed, we were we. And we work such one person with all different point of views to see the Impala, then problem or challenges which we faced. And after actually this success story of launching the Impala, we were supported by the Fund for Innovation. That means that we actually with Impala involved in government in our ecosystem, And thanks to the Fund for Innovation, actually we succeeded to somehow present Impala on the major university worldwide because our business model is for university we will give actually free access because our algorithms based on machine learning and artificial intelligence will be actually more and more exact in projecting the reaction of the people if we have great database. So that means that we have again some social component because especially in university in Macedonia you know that we have no laboratory for research and development, even we have no any kind of equipment for research. So our platform actually will be cloud platform for research and development, and we will offer to the university not only in Macedonia but for all poor country actually to offer to the students real research. I think that we are a great example how different stakeholders in the ecosystem can work really efficiently, and not only our cooperation or our ecosystem idea to build and support will not be finished after the success of Impala, but I think that now at the moment, especially we cooperate intensively with Startup Macedonia and especially with Igor Mađov. So the team from Impala is always involved in different mentoring processes, then engagement or recruitment of young people and give them some perspective that Macedonia it's really a country where we can produce quality experts, not only in the field of using the things or worldwide. Even when we want to somehow evaluate some person, even we as a panelist here, they said, oh, he's a great speaker, he knows everything, he has a lot of information. Now I think that we have obligation to break through the education, especially in Macedonia, and to create people and experts who will challenge all the knowledge and information which are available, and to start to develop something which will change the point of views in science, in society, etc. So I think that we are on a great way. So the society will judge us.
Thank you. And in terms of, we heard about code.org this morning, are we going to be able to offer it to our kids so that they can do their own research for any projects in the future? Any students at any level, you think?
Yes.
Vesna?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we will start with University of American College here in Macedonia because I'm a lecturer there, and but we are sure that especially with Finki and the University Faculty for Psychology actually, because one of the professor from the Psychology Institute is involved in developing the consultancy side of our platform because he's an expert in evolutionary psychology. So he knows actually or he will consult the companies how to get insight from our results in terms of recognizing the different pattern in perception. So we will start there too. Yeah.
Thank you. And Steve, how is your company positioned to help the ecosystem and the economic growth of the country?
Well, I have a little bit of a unique story, I think, from the other panelists in a sense that I was born in America. My last name, it's Macedonian, and both my parents were born here. Really the story of how Macedonia is a part of this story begins with kind of the founding genesis. I have two other co-founders, and our CTO was based here in Skopje, and we started the company 4 years ago. Two of us, the other co-founder was based in the States, and our third co-founder was here in Macedonia, and we're just the three of us. And I'm not a tech person by any means, and we had this idea, and we were going to run with it, and we started coding here in Macedonia. We were selling in the States, and naturally we started hiring developers that our CTO knew here in Skopje, And it was never a charity case because the developers that we were finding were world class. And obviously there's cost advantages, but the culture has been very consistent on both sides of the pond. And the communication's always free flowing. So as we've grown a team here, obviously the benefit to the country is, we pay very good wages, best practices are shared, culture, communication of what we're doing. We're building, a global product here. We've got world-class venture capitalists in the States who have invested in us. But I think ultimately, the know-how is being shared. Within the ecosystem, we're constantly attracting new talent and we're sharing the rewards. Our company, we've allocated a large percentage of our company in stock options, and the Macedonian employees share in those, and it really incentivizes folks. And that might be a new concept here in Macedonia, but for the people that it really resonates with, it's been profound. And ultimately, one of our core values is this idea of ownership, not only in what you're doing, but ownership mentality. Being that we have 16, 17 offices in states, and here you can't be everywhere at once. And we found that the strongest way to incentivize people, make sure that we're rowing the oars in the right direction, is through that stock option and obviously the shared mission of what we're doing. And for the ecosystem here, bringing that concept, I think, has been very powerful, and just naturally, having the trickle down of, American managerial prowess and, the Macedonian technical expertise has been pretty profound. And even within the ecosystem, we contract with a dev on a certain component of our platform. It starts kind of multiplying itself. So, with regard to Macedonia, we're very proud to, me being a Macedonian heritage, to be part of that story, but it's never been a case of, us trying to necessarily do charity. The Macedonian team here is world class, and we put them up against anybody out there.
Thank you. I can further testify to that, but in a different way, of course. Many of my colleagues who come from Macedonia really are at top universities and companies around the world. But I want to come back to the question of, really, it all sounds success and breezing and growing companies, but there must have been challenges, and the question is always, how did you break through? What were the problems that you had to overcome? Nino, would you address the question?
Well, you're right. You're absolutely right. It all sounds like, pink world and all success and smiling faces, but starting a company is really a tough challenge. When we were starting, again, in 2011, almost 9 years ago, the concept of new founders founding companies was so new that TV hosts were often visitors at our office, and they would film the office and do interview with us. Every time they were doing a piece of what startups are. Even the president of the country paid us a visit one of the early days of CodeWall. So it doesn't sound that far away, but it is really in how the things are different now back then. And there were a lot of challenges. As I mentioned previously, there was almost 9 years ago, there was no startup ecosystem of any kind, which made the whole journey difficult on so many levels. Not having an ecosystem meant not having any kind of support, meant not having business accelerators that you can attend to, meant not having funding opportunities here, meant not having successful or failed startups from which you can learn from. And when we were starting, honestly, we were two tech students, with a great vision, but absolutely no business knowledge of any kind. So, we have to learn a lot of things by doing them and figure it out along the way. So we faced a lot of challenges and learned a lot of stuff, from basic things like how to do business, how to hire and manage people, up to things like how to do sales, how to do fundraising, up to challenges like how to sell or get your first international client when you are a small company coming from a small country that is the Republic of North Macedonia. So it was really challenging, and we had to learn a lot of stuff, but I would say that the situation is quite different nowadays. Today we have a startup community formed, which is still in the early stage, but it is there. And there are organizations like Startup Macedonia that helped found the startup community and work on growing it. We have a couple of business accelerators in the country that are functioning and helping young early stage startups start and grow. We have funding opportunities now. 9 years ago, we didn't have any funding opportunities. Now there are maybe not many, but there's still the governmental fund for innovation, which is of big help for startups, but also scale-ups as us, and provide the needed funds for the startups here to start their products and grow them further. But also we have a venture capital now present in the country that was not the case 9 years ago. And not to forget, we have organizations like Swiss entrepreneurship program that brings mentors of different kind to work here with the local companies and startups and help them with expertise in different fields. So I would say, there are a lot of challenges, but the challenges are different back then than there are now. I would say starting a company now in Macedonia is much easier in a way that there are the essential key elements already present in the country. And plus there are a couple of use cases and successful or failed startups from which the companies can now learn from. We try to help a lot with this. We go on events, share our experience that we have with different in different areas, from fundraising to user stories to how we launch the products and so on and so forth. And there are many events like this happening in the country, so there are also other players like us on the market that have been through the road and can help the new generation of young entrepreneurs with their journey. So.
Great, thank you. So I want to ask next, Steve, I want to ask you, what is your view, because you have both the US experience and Macedonia experience, as to how did you break through, and what is the additional government support that you could have used or you need, or anything from the ecosystem here?
Well, at the end of the day, we're a marketplace business. We have a supply and demand, and with any marketplace business, it's chicken and the egg. It's always difficult. And with our particular business, I always say there's 4 legs to our stool. There's tech, there's sales, there's operations, and there's branding. None of which are revolutionary in their own right, but bringing them together in the industry has been quite revolutionary for us. And trying to manage that, obviously, with disparate teams is unique. So for us, the ultimate challenge was, starting a company is easy. Anybody can start a company. Executing on a company is a whole different story. And executing with a marketplace where, balancing that chicken and the egg, especially when one side of the marketplace is enterprise businesses, is extremely difficult. And I think in a lot of ways our naivety was a blessing, because if we had known how hard it would be, we never would have attempted it. But once you get started, you just have no choice but to turn around, and you've got everybody bought in, you got money, it's like, oh shit, we got to go. Breaking through, I wish I had a magic playbook. We do now, and we open up cities every month, and we've got a team, and our team here in Macedonia on the tech side is just knocking it out of the park. But I think the breakthroughs, they came in small bits. From the initial breakthrough, you create an MVP and you take it to market, and it was startling to us that we had paying customers for this initial product. We're like, wow, that's complete dog crap, but people are paying us. So it gives you that initial confidence, and raising money. And I hear the stories that the entrepreneurs here in the Balkans and Macedonia have in raising capital. It's extremely difficult, but hell, it's difficult raising money in the Midwest in America too. And we were scrappy trying to bootstrap it, and the best source of capital is revenue, and we're like, well, we better start making money. And we went out there and we're selling, and all the while we're trying to get the supply side. So the initial customers, they start coming, word of mouth, we execute in one city. And then the irony of the whole thing is being a localized marketplace, because people are only going to work hourly shifts within their metropolitan area. You want to open another market, you've got to repeat the same thing. So, you know, we thought it would be easier the second time we did it. It was just as hard. Then the third time, just as hard. But by the third time, you know, stupid as we are, we're like, okay, we better figure something out, and we start doing it easier and easier. But I don't know if that answers the question, but the breakthroughs, they're always coming. And, you know, we don't consider ourselves a success. You know, every day we're out there working and executing, and, you know, we're fighting many elements. You have incumbent players, which are multi-billion-dollar publicly traded companies that aren't very fond of what we're doing. We've got some new entrants. I mean, Uber just launched a product very similar to ours a month ago. You know, so it's the nice thing, at least with a marketplace business, is if you do it right, you get network effects, where the more people you have, the better the experience is for more and more people on the platform. It creates this virtuous cycle, and ultimately, from a strategic perspective, what we're trying to do is go market to market and establish these network effects, and that becomes a very strong moat where if somebody wanted to come and outcompete us, you know, two things would have to happen, where A, we would have to royally screw up, and B, they'd have to spend a fortune to dislodge us, because it's a very sticky relationship. So ultimately, that's what we're focused on. It's never easier. Obviously, the markets we've got high liquidity. We get deeper and deeper, but every market is a challenge. And, you know, with the growing size, it requires more and more features, which keeps the, you know, the tech team engaged. So it's an all hands on deck effort, and it will continue to be. And, you know, like I said, it's not an easy space to be in, and it's not a sexy space. And I think that's the opportunity set. You know, kids don't trip over themselves at a Harvard or MIT to go into the staffing industry, but that's probably why it hasn't changed in 60 years, and that's what we're doing.
Yeah, it sounds like you're really starting to disrupt that whole industry, and especially the story of Uber. Aren't you worried about them coming in?
Not really, because the great equalizer, you know, Uber's a, you know, a B2C company. They've got drivers, they've got consumers, whereas the one end of our marketplace are businesses, enterprise, like Hyatt's and Marriott's, and unfortunately they don't respond to marketing. You have to go in there and sell them. And, you know, us being at it now 4 years, we've got several large national contracts we can start leveraging and using them as anchors in new markets, which reduces the time, the profitability for each market. But at the end of the day, it's a $300 billion industry. There's room for plenty more people, and our strategy is to go, you know, plant the flag and create that competitive advantage, that moat in those markets, where if they want to come in, they're going to have to go through the same curve that we did. And unfortunately, money isn't the solving factor here. It's execution.
Great, thank you. My next question is for Katerina. So what are, in your view, the enablers from the Macedonian ecosystem, from the government, VCs? As Nino mentioned, those were non-existent, and now they start to exist. But how do you feel, as an entrepreneur, you could be better supported?
So I think, yes, the funding is much more available now than it was before, and that's something good, and it improves over time. But the thing is that we don't have a connected ecosystem, and we don't have that much opportunity to collaborate between each other, to share knowledge, to share resources. And also the regulations are kind of rigid. So, for example, I remember when we started, the first thing we did, we bought the 5 seals that the government requested for us, and those were for managing your archive, your documents, your books, and it wasn't something that we as a startup were supposed to do, because I didn't even know what those seals were about. And then instead of thinking about how to bring in more customers and how to find a market for our business, we were concerned about all this administrative, legal, and accounting stuff that we should not worry about. So one of the things that I know, there were some discussions in our ICT Chamber of Commerce about opening a technology park here in Skopje, and this is very old. But I think the idea is really relevant still, and it will really bring something new to the startups ecosystem, because it would create an opportunity for them not to only have a place where they would work together, but also share resources. For example, we could have a subscription model where we could subscribe for monthly accounting services and then split these services among ourselves. And that would really reduce this burden that we have as companies at the beginning, because we don't know anything about this regulation stuff. We know what we want to build.
Okay, great. So yeah, the idea of of a tech park keeps reappearing, and I think one day we'll have it. We were just discussing this yesterday. And this reminds me when we visited the President Pendarovsky yesterday, he recalled how when he met the President of Finland recently, he told him that his first priority for him is AI. So that's a priority for an entire country, and I think for Macedonia as well, it should be very high priority to have this kind of support tech park that would really help in these, could be mundane, but in the beginning, what do you even need to worry about? And having that constant support and someone asking and helping you ask the right questions and have the right priorities.
I wanted to add, we mentioned Startup Macedonia a few times, and they're working on something like this. It's not a tech park, but it's still an online platform that would connect startups and bring them closer to mentorship and to other startups who are working in their field. So I think that is a good step forward, because it doesn't only have to come from the government, it should come from all of us, and we should all do what we can to improve this ecosystem. So I think we're still going forward, but there are some parts where we can be supported.
Yeah, so note, big note to us from the board. So with all of this, I'd like to ask Vesna, because Vesna has been an entrepreneur since 2000, and very successful entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur. Some people associate the word serial with killer, but she's a serial entrepreneur and a very successful one. So I'd like to ask you, what's your opinion on what you think are the qualities of an entrepreneur, and what should people have in mind when they make steps towards,
Yes, I went through my career as actually, I started in 2000 as a founder of the company. It was the first Macedonian market research agency. And I was started with the idea that I just wanted to work something which no one offer in the country. And it will be much easier for me actually to recruit the clients. And this idea really realized without such a much effort, and I was surprised how easy, is to doing business in Macedonia. And can you imagine that for my first client was at that time Pivara Skopje, Mr. Janevski, as one of the most successful businessmen in Macedonia, recognized potential in me, and he gave me confidence even to consult him and give advices how to build for example, some new working units, or developing new product, launching the new product, tracking the old brands. Even Coca-Cola and Heineken at that time were, still are, but Mr. Janevski is not now part of the brewery. And I was surprised that not so easy, but I was surprised how people actually can give a trust in consultancy. And all business was, I don't know, it went so easy. So after 7 years, I even get an offer to my company be acquired by international company. So again, I was surprised how actually is easy, to attract foreign investment, because I was at that time only 30 years old, and already I was the first woman who succeeded to attract foreign direct investment in international company. And of course, at that time, it was so motivating for me. I accepted the offer. Of course, the main motive actually was to get access to the source of knowledge, innovation, because GFK is a German company, but present in more than 113 countries. And that was motive. My team will actually have opportunity to grow. And I agree that in the first 5 years I will be partner, so I will not sell all shares. And after 5 years, then the contract was that I have to be only managing director. And everything went great because I was a part of the big system. I learned actually how to be a manager in the business systems or corporations. And when I sold the company, actually I entered in the comfort zone because I'm now the very well paid managing director here in Macedonia. I can travel around the world. I have actually maintained this high level of knowledge no one in Macedonia can. And suddenly I decided actually to quit and start with my business again. So the person who actually the whole career built in the data science and to advise the client that fact-based consultancy is only way to lead the successful business, I actually brought at that time completely intuitive decision. And when I decided, of course, to leave the company, start with my business again, I had a problem with my family, with friends, because they said, so what do you want to conquer the world? It's enough, you have a great salary, now you are a mother, you have twins, why to not enjoy with your kids? And I really start to actually think that I have some mental problem, because to start again in Macedonia from the zero, it's not a good decision at all, especially because I'm single mother. And during the process of actually trying to find some support from the people who I really think that they are great professionals and people who are bold, during this discussion, actually I discovered what means when you are entrepreneur, not only manager. So I discovered that not always, when you are entrepreneur, not always you are led by facts, you are not always led by market conditions, even analysis which you break, but actually you have to work by your intuition to be on the market. And when you are a manager, always you are closed in your office, then you have to make these reports to the management board worldwide. Then to prepare how to you actually convince that your budget for the next year is good. It's no intuition, and you have no this high level of adrenaline. So I know that it's not good example to share with young people who are founders of startups here in Macedonia. It's not easy at all, but I think that only way to live, to feel that you are live and you live the life with full potential is to be entrepreneur, because you create the value and you actually make your dreams to be realized and to put in reality. When you work for someone else, you will spend the same energy, the same time, the same stress. Maybe the stress is even higher because you have to actually report to someone who is above you in the hierarchy. But I think that then at that time, maybe you will have this comfort zone, you will have a salary at the end of the month, but you will actually work for realization of dreams of someone else, not of your dreams.
Thank you. My comment would be, I wish we had more mental problems of your kind, I think, especially in Macedonia. Okay. So next I'd like to ask if there are questions from the audience. Would be great. Vera? Yeah.
This question is for Nino. First of all, congratulations on your awards and your success. Question is, with all the challenges you faced, what was your motivation to keep on going and not giving up?
Well, it might sound mainstream, but I believe that the core of not giving up is to really have a great vision and drive. it should be that great that it wakes you up in the morning, because it will get tough, it will get rough, it will be boring in some of the phases, it will be stressful at some moments. But like our passion is, as I mentioned, our vision is to create a world-known product from here. I did part of my studies, actually I did my master's degree in Boston University, and I was offered to be a teaching assistant there, and also on UMass, but both me and my co-founder received really well, offers for job positions in big companies internationally. But the thing is, the drive to prove that you can succeed worldwide from here kept us together throughout all of these years, and it was the reason why we continued after each failure, and why we are still on this road, because we had a lot of success so far, but we didn't achieve our vision yet. So I think that, if I can summarize, is that, really find something that drives you. So, and if you have such a vision and it's personal, then that's the sole reason why you don't give up and say, I can do this. When you're staring at the abyss and you're like, I can't take this anymore, because there are moments like that. It's the vision that's, it keeps you on the road. It's just like, hey, you've been, you went this far, you can still, continue and achieve your vision. So, yeah, so basically believing in yourself and have a vision that's really a personal drive. So, yes.
Meto Koloski with the United Macedonian Diaspora, and I want to congratulate Nikita and the entire board on a successfully organized summit thus far. Twofold question. One is, how can we limit government's involvement in terms of starting up companies, startups, and all that? And then what would be your vision for Macedonia in this field that you're in for the next 5 years, perhaps 10 years? To anyone who wants to answer.
So for limiting governmental involvement, I would say that we have a lot of organizations like Macedonia 2025. We mentioned Startup Macedonia. There are a lot of enthusiasts out there who want to mentor, who want to share knowledge, and I think that we're headed the right way by doing it on our own. Governmental support would mean a lot, of course, but even if it's not there, I think we can do it, unless we're obstructed in some ways. On the other thing, like my personal vision, because from the industry that I come from, we're trying to create a lot of unique opportunities for people here so that they don't move out from the country. So we're facing a lot of brain drain at the moment, and that's why, and it's highly skilled talent. It's not only people who live just for the living conditions. And so they leave behind high-paying jobs, they leave behind really good lifestyle to just move away and maybe work on something that they enjoy or driving their careers forward. So I'm thinking that we should create an environment where people would like to stay here and then know that they would have the opportunities to move forward and grow professionally, because it's not only about creating an environment where people can survive, it's improving the quality of life and having the innovation come from here, not from outside.
Steve, I'm curious, did you have any regulatory issues in the U.S. by hiring people here to help with the coding and building of the platform, or no?
Well, we set up a wholly owned subsidiary here in Macedonia. It's owned by the U.S. entity, and it's definitely different than in the U.S. So, it just comes with the territory.
Thank you. So, this morning I gave a speech in which I said that we need to multiply successful stories, and this is the panel that we need to multiply. And you were all carefully chosen because you're very successful young people. So Nino, I actually didn't met you previously, but yesterday I saw your presentation at the pitching event, and really what you do is great, and I hope that others will follow. But I also hope that as an organization we will support you. So yesterday we had a pitching event in which we said that we will offer mentorship from the diaspora and from professionals to successful companies and startups from Macedonia. So I hope that we will be of support, great support to you. Katerina Oradeva was part of our program, which is called BITOF program, in which we bring KESO experts, Canadian experts, to Macedonia. So you can share also your experience. I think that you were a perfect match with the expert actually, and I believe that actually we also contributed to the growth of your company. Vesna is my colleague from university, but Vesna will be also tomorrow part of another pitching event, which is actually an event for, it's for actually medium-sized companies, very successful, innovative companies, and we would like to support them to be successful on the US market and our Canadian market. So thank you, Vesna. Steve, we approached Steve through LinkedIn, me, Michael. Actually Michael had the first call, and we were like, this is successful Macedonia and abroad. And then we realized that he actually has a company also here, employing people here. So thank you all for coming and for sharing the experience. And I really hope that together we can kind of achieve or increase your competitiveness, exports, and show good stories, multiply the effects. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. And before we close our panel, I'd like to ask each of our panelists to share their vision for the future of their company. Because I'm thinking a success like this needs to multiply success, 10x, 100x, as Nikita said also this morning. An important point, Nikita, that you made was we need to not only go left, right, up or down, but we need to go fast. And even in entrepreneurship, failing fast is good, right? But helping to nurture, celebrate successes, celebrates failures. And very importantly, from what I've seen in the entrepreneurship environment here in Macedonia, it's very important to inspire, very important to know that if you have a laptop, if you have a garage, and if you have a dream, you will get somewhere. And that the naysayers will one day say, yeah, I was wrong. So we do want people to feel empowered, people to feel that they can transform and transcend obstacles, and that can bring success to their own companies and also to the country. So with this, I'd like to ask you to share your vision for the future, and I hope at least one will say, I want to have $1 trillion company, because I don't think we have many of those around here in this region of the world. So
we are facing the moving out, people are moving out, we are losing a lot of intelligent people who can really contribute to this society. So as a company, we want to improve that state, of course, because that's what we do. And right now we are working with a lot of companies who are from the Fortune 500 list, and also with startups who are widely recognized. And we have people from Macedonia working remotely as part of their teams. So one colleague last week, he was in San Francisco in their office working with a $1 billion startup from the United States, and that was a unique experience for him because he doesn't always get the chance to do that. So I think in the future we would like to multiply these experiences and have more people work with companies like this, because it's in an environment like that that you want to continue do what you do instead of moving out and trying to pursue your dreams somewhere else. And for the whole ecosystem, I think that I said we're on the right path. But I think Nikita mentioned, I want to add that about the KESO program, it was really helpful for us because over here, from experience, it's not a fact that I know, but I think that most of the companies come with technical background. The founders are from technical universities, or they have some other backgrounds which is not business or sales. And so we don't have that much experience internally in Macedonia to share among each other. And these programs like the Castle one and people coming from abroad and sharing their experience in companies like IBM, our consultant came from IBM, he had 20 years of sales experience there. It was really helpful for us to create a basis for what we do, our strategy, and how to continue forward. So I think this is something of those things that are not related to the government, but what we can do to improve the whole ecosystem together.
Okay, thank you. Vesna?
So our short-term vision is to open a sales office on Western America continent, that means USA or Canada. And the long-term vision is for 3 years from now, I think that Google will buy my company again. And I will make exit. This is long-term vision.
That's a great vision. Okay. And Steve?
Our vision is to be the largest HR tech matching company in the world. I'm pretty confident there's $1 billion business here. When is it's a matter of time, and ultimately I'm very proud to be Macedonian. 2/3 of the founders are Macedonian, a third's actually Serbian, so we won't hold it against them. But we wear it very proudly, and I never, when people ask where you're from, I tell them I'm Macedonian, and I love that. So.
Yeah. Thank you.
So yeah, as I said on a couple of occasions, the reason why we started the company is to build a world-known product. And we had a lot of successes in the past, but never achieved it. But I think that this year we're closer to our vision that we have ever been in the past. One of the achievements that we have achieved this year is actually expanded our company to the Scandinavian region by opening the office in Oslo in Norway. And the sole reason for that was our flagship product, Codewell AI, which is already a self-sustainable business with a high growth potential. So our short-term vision is to expand in the United States and cover that market, but the long-term vision is actually to one of these 3 products that we're working on that will eventually be that one world-known product that we're aiming from the very beginning. So.
Okay. Thank you very much. And with this, I'd like to invite you to thank our panelists.